Hello viewers, the following video is being re-uploaded for archival purposes after being incorrectly flagged off of the platform. Again, this video is only for archival and entertainment purposes. No adults, children, or animals were harmed in the making of the following video, nor during the process of archiving. Remember to like and share, and let's get into the video. Before we get into the video, I am linking a charity with this video for ASPCA. Donations you make will go to ASPCA, so if you feel inclined, your super chats will go in support of animal rights. ASPCA stands for the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. It is a non-profit organization dedicated to preventing animal cruelty, which is the subject of today's video. It was an easy charity to choose because of this subject, but I also personally follow their social media and watch their work rescuing animals from cruel conditions. At the end of the video, I will be recommending several other charities as well. YouTube does not take a cut of donations if they are for charity as part of their giving monetization program. This video is going to be brutal and upsetting, so please consider donating or adopting an animal today. I will also see, I don't know the logistics of it, but see if I can get ad revenue if this video is monetized going to the charity as well. We will see. If you can't do either, give it a like, subscribe, or don't, it's fine. Cue the opening. Chapter 1. Introduction to our subject. Legal name, Timothy George Amoroso. Tim is the subject of our video. He has spent decades online producing hardcore animal content that will get me demonetized, mentioning in the first 30 minutes, and has gone by many different names. Timwin, Dog Dude, Rainsters, Mate Pups, Mute Mutt, and Up for Anything 985. It doesn't matter what name Tim goes under. Each name is used for Tim to produce illegal animal videos online. Timwin is one of the most evil human beings I have found on my time on the internet. This man functions as a collection of the worst human desires mixed into one human body. He has been allowed to move as a free man, and I hope this video works as a way to show the public that this man should not, and that the justice system has failed. I want to remind you viewers that no human on the internet is a hero. If you come across any information that could lead to Tim Amoroso receiving justice for his actions, please contact authorities. As we go forward into this video, you will be disgusted and you will most likely want to enact justice. This is normal. What this man has done is so past irredeemable, it would be better if he was never born. But we are getting ahead of ourselves. Just remember, please use the proper channels. Bragging online about getting information is selfish and only is done to stroke your ego. If you care for animal rights, please seek to follow through with the proper authorities. So let's get into the video. Chapter 2. The Zoo Leaks. In the fall of 2018, something horrific happened to the internet community. specifically towards a niche community known as the furries, as well as those who love animals. Furries are a generalized group of people who feel a connection to anthropomorphic animal characters. There's a whole interesting story behind the community that is described in other videos, but that is not the point of today's video. Just know that furries are known to be sexual. An account via Twitter named Pseudonym tweeted out a thread that exposed many people in the furry community, big and small, for abusing animals for sexual purposes. A lot of furries were implicated, but one became the focus. This one was Kiro the Wolf, who was focused on the most due to him being a popufur, aka someone famous in the furry community. When the thread first came out, many of the contents were blamed on Kiro the Wolf due to his name being the most recognizable one. Unfortunately, this caused a lot of confusion because most of the worst content was not made by Kiro. Kiro did partake in animal sexual cruelty. We'll say allegedly, it was not proven in a court of law, but it's been pretty much proven. But he was a lower level member in the group who didn't partake in the most heinous actions. The ones that came to light from these leaks as committing the worst crimes were one Wolf, aka Ruben Marrero Pernas, and Snake Thing, aka Levi Dane Simmons. These leaks led to 3 people being arrested and many more people being investigated, but there was someone missing from the leaks who was involved. It is unknown why Akela and Pseudonym, the original leakers, did not include this individual in their leaks. Some speculate they wanted to protect this person, and some wonder if it's due to this person being already under federal investigation. I've also seen claims that the leakers wanted to focus on furries, and this person does not identify himself as one. But excluding this man from the leaks was a big mistake. Today I bring you a tale of a monster who lives amongst men. The contents of his messages and activity on the internet are horrific. This man has been terrorizing animals across the western part of the United States of America since at least 1992. His animal abuse, though according to him, started in the 70s. This is the tale of Tim Wynn, or legally known as Tim Amoroso, from Winlock, Washington. Chapter 3, a preface of how we will go over the information. This video is going to look into the monster that is Tim Wynn. It will go over his life from birth to present. I am writing this June 2024, according to him and his online postings. We will be going generally in timeline order, though some details will be held for when vigilantes for animal rights discovered the information. I want this information to be out there in the most impactful way possible. I want the public to know what this man has done. I don't know law. I am not a police officer or an agent of the law. I am someone who goes down internet rabbit holes and conveys the journey with my audience. I think this way of giving information will have the most impact on the audience, and I think what this man has done and continues to do has to be out there in the open. This is not a comfortable story. It is not a happy story. This is a real life horror story. I want to also note that I used the website Kiwi Farms heavily in my research. They collect information in a way that makes it easy to find the original source and archives. If that's a problem with you, click off. But f*** you. Now let's get into the timeline. Here we go. Chapter 4, Timeline. Part 1, Childhood. Tim Amoroso was born May 6, 1961. According to multiple chats that were later leaked, Tim's mother drank while pregnant, which resulted in him being mentally stunted, which is evident in the way he writes. According to an interview Tim would do with researcher Hanny Miletsky in the 90s about zoophilia, he was raised by both parents. In this interview, Tim's identity was hidden by calling him Isaac, but from details in other of Tim's postings, he did under his real name. It is confirmed to be Tim in this interview. Here's Tim's early life according to Tim.
Isaac reported that at the age of 7, an older boy forced him to give oral sex to a dog. That was his first sexual encounter with an animal. He did not like the experience. Isaac further related that, "My folks were not there for me. I had nowhere to turn. My father would degrade me and call me names in front of my peers." Isaac tried to commit suicide while in the Navy because I was alone and rejected by shipmates. He saw one psychotherapist who was a behaviorist. He wanted me to wear a rubber band and snap myself when I thought of sex with animals. In the year prior to the study, Isaac reported he was generally satisfied, pleased with his personal life. Before the age of puberty, Isaac was sexually molested by 2 men, family friends. They fondled his genitals, performed anal sex on him, and forced him to perform oral sex on them. He also had sexual contacts with his niece when he was 13 years old, and with his nephew when he was 14. Unfortunately, the questionnaire did not provide the niece and nephew's ages. Isaac began masturbating at age 12. His first sexual intercourse occurred when he was 16 with a friend. Since then, he had 8 different women's sex partners, but in the year prior to the study, he did not have sex with any woman. His first homosexual sexual encounter was one of his abuse incidents. He was 7 years old and was forced to perform oral sex on an older boy who lived down the street. Since then, Isaac had 12 men's sexual partners, including the 2 abusers, and in the year prior to the study he had sex with a man once. He rated himself as a 4, both homosexual and heterosexual, but more homosexual, on the Kinsey scale. At the time of the study, Isaac reported he masturbated about 10 times per week.
According to other posts, Tim began his own sexual experimentations with dogs at the age of 10 years old with a male dog. Not much else is known about his childhood. It was obviously a disturbing one that would lead to dire consequences, and a troubled man that has no right to do what he does on this earth. Chapter 4.2 Early Internet. The early details of Tim's life are pretty scant until the internet became more accessible to all. Tim's earliest internet postings come from now defunct Google groups. Basically, back in the day, Google groups were a way to connect people into discussion groups for people sharing common interests. Tim would join degenerate, sex-based groups in the 90s. The first group he posted to was titled alt.evil, and he posted December 18th, 1992. This post was entitled, "Very Evil." This was a fictional story Tim posted, though likely didn't write himself, in which 2 men named Ted and Dave gang rape a rabbit and torture it to death. The replies to this art piece was not welcoming. This did not stop Tim, however, who returned to post more fictional stories about animal rape across various Google groups. We know these are Tim's postings because they were posted under his real name, Tim G. Amoroso. The first known bestiality-related material that Tim wrote himself came January 8th, 1993, and was titled Sheep. This work of fantasy was more tame than the acts Tim would later get into himself. It's odd to say, but if you know how sick one's desires can escalate over time, these stories, posted throughout 1993, were just the beginnings of Tim revealing his sexual desires. He was in his 20s at this point. He was dipping his toes in the water. Sheep was about a farm boy who has sex with his sheep. No sadism or torture is involved, so even though animal rape is involved, it is tame. 2 days later, he posted a story entitled Animal. This piece of fiction describes a fantasy in which a man can have consensual sex with an animal. I hope I don't have to hold my viewers' hands to explain why animals cannot consent to sex with humans. Again, this is a fantasy Tim wrote where animals have the same mental agency as humans. He posted, during early 1993, 5 works, all to a bestiality Google group. These works all contained bestiality and paraphilia as well. According to paraphilia experts, the most common secondary paraphilia for zoophiles to have is paraphilia. As we continue further, you will see this stereotype is alive and well in Mr. Amoroso. I tried to skim through some of these fictions, but some of the writings were so horrific, I found it hard to get past his descriptions of children around him. He also wrote many of these porns as fan fictions for fictional children stories, such as The Jungle Book, Goldilocks and the 3 Bears, and The Shaggy Dog. I am not completely sure if Tim wrote any of these works. As mentioned earlier, Tim has some mental handicaps and his usual misspellings are not present in some of these works. In his DMs that we will talk about later on, he obviously cannot spell even the simplest of words. While these stories are not expertly written, they do not read like fetal alcohol syndrome. Small Dick Tim wrote them. Oh, Tim has a small penis. I want to note that now because he's very sensitive. While I try to maintain a level of professionalism while making these videos, I also think adding in some low blows to hurt a pedo zoophile's feelings is kind of fun. So, I will be making fun of how small his penis is throughout the video, just to twist the knife in some more. These Google group entries were all posted under his email that included his name, Tim, and GA for Tim George Amoroso. May 6th, 1993, Tim would repost the sheep story, but this time titled True Lamb Sex Story, to a tasteless Google group, saying that the original group he posted it to didn't like his, quote, lighter version. And note, lighter is spelled incredibly wrong. This lamb story is much more graphic, and Tim himself claims it's a true story. It's about him purchasing a female lamb from a farm, raping her, drinking her piss, and then slaughtering her. I am not exaggerating for drama. This is what Tim George Amoroso from Winlock, Washington is into. During this time, Tim was living in Patterson, California, but at some point in 1993, he moved to Winlock, Washington, and it is assumed it was due to him running from the law. This is not 100% proven, but a comment was found in an archive from someone who claimed to know Tim. This is what the comment read. I did some research in that area. I found a man by the name of Tim Amoroso who lived in Washington who would rape and kill animals. He was good friends with a man named Randall Pepe. He used to live with a man named Steve Rice and Aaron Myers. Now going from that, it seems there is an article from 1999 involving Steve Rice and Aaron Myers stating that they fled the state of California after being accused of sexually assaulting their dog. Also, previous addresses when looking through websites that collect people's data, you can see addresses line up between these three men, Steve, Tim, and Aaron. What these men did to these animals during this time are not completely detailed, but Tim would soon create some of his most well-known videos. Another thing I would like to note, up until pretty recently, Washington State did not have any laws against bestiality. They eventually did enact some laws after a story called Mr. Hands, where a man in Washington got f***ed to death by a horse. He wanted it though. Anyways, again, Tim would soon create his most well-known video. We will get to Tim's most well-known video in a moment, but most of the horrors Tim committed on video were committed in the 90s and early 2000s. Before they were created, he was most likely making content with these two men in California, though what they did does not exist online anymore from what I can tell. He was married at this time to a woman named Lizette. We can tell he was married at this time because of an AMC poll response he did April 17, 1993, where he posted about he and his wife. Lizette is someone who often posts about animal welfare, though as we go into the video, it is most likely that she knows what her husband does behind closed doors and remains with him. I do not know her mental or physical abilities, however. She may not be cognitive enough to really comprehend the evil she lives with. It is believed that during this year, Tim Wynn connected with the true love of his life. No, it is not Lizette. It is a golden retriever named Mandy that in later writings, Tim detailed having a Wiccan wedding ceremony with. Mandy would definitely be the love of Tim's life, him detailing it over a decade later on a website called The Beast Forum, which is a forum for bestiality enthusiasts. Under a thread titled, Your Most Memorable Experiences, Tim writes, as Rainsters.
About 8.5 years ago, I received my golden retriever puppy. I had seen her about 3 weeks prior, but she was too young to come back home with me. The day came that I was to pick her up at the airport. Of course, I got there about 2 hours early, just in case. Well, it happens that she was to be picked up in the cargo area of Alaska Air. Finally, the hour is here and I see the plane land. And I wait. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour. At this point, I am literally in tears, figuring the worst. That she had been lost or stolen or worse. Finally, 1.5 hours after the plane had landed, I am still sitting in the lobby, totally crushed. and I look up to peer through the tears, and I see a crate being lovingly carried by two men toward me. I run to see, yes, it's Mandy, and I take her from the crate and sit in the middle of the airport bawling, holding my dear girl. Yes, holding her in total love and joy is what I will always think of as my most memorable experiences. By the way, my avatar is Mandy.
Tim continued posting sick writings across Google groups into 1995. His most well-known was titled Bitch Training, posted May 22, 1994 to alt.sex.bestiality under one of his many aliases, Dog Dude. During his time in the Google groups, that was the name he generally went by, or Tim GA. Bitch Training was a work of writing about how to open your female dog to your sexual advances. I won't read it for you. It's gross and stupid, though the grammar appears to be better than his other writing, which makes me suspect he had help writing it. Remember, Tim Wynn is retarded and has a small dick. But Tim was opening up more to the internet. It seems he found a way to connect with people with similar fantasies. Many people can escalate their degeneracy by introducing themselves to the infinite world of online pornography, especially if one has access to the deep web. I've seen many people in my time watching people online groom themselves through gooning into being attracted to horrific things. Now, I don't think it happens to everyone who consumes adult content, but there are studies into how pornography can change the way your brain functions. However, Tim never needed that in his adulthood. Instead, he was the one tainting others' minds by providing the most sick and twisted videos. He would post ads online. May 18, 1994, he posted he was looking to meet others that liked fucking dogs and other animals in the Pacific Northwest. Tim had a voracious sexual appetite. His need for sexual gratification was so great, he forced himself onto animals and humans alike. He detailed this June 14, 1994, writing,
Actually, I'm 33 and I may masturbate 3 times a day, but I'll do it for 2 hours at a shot. I find that I'm getting to work late because I do it when I first wake up and not getting to sleep until 2 a.m. because I'm still doing it then. It is getting harder and harder to get off. I need more and more kinky things. I use my animals to assist me, licking and stuff. Really, at times I feel out of control. I have forced myself on people and animals. I have picked up strays to do, and even stopped at roadkill and played with it to aid my insatiable desire to orgasm. I'm sure that you are saying that this guy isn't for real. Well, I am. I went to a shrink once and he did no good. I'm sure that this message isn't appropriate for this group, but perhaps some others know how I feel. Is there something I should? Any suggestions?
1995. His strange sexual desires led him to be interviewed by Hanny Maletsky, which I mentioned earlier, in 1995 for her work titled Understanding Bestiality and Zoophilia. Hanny would enter the Google Bestiality group and interview the members, but one member in her study stood out. This person was named Isaac in the study to protect his identity, but it is easy to align this person's life details with Tim's, and discovered that this is Tim telling the researcher his most disgusting secrets. This is technically speculation, but considering the size of these Google groups and the fact that Tim participated in them, I would bet this is most likely Tim, so we will review this. Hanny detailed in her piece that most of the zoophiles she interviewed weren't terrible, though I want to note Hanny is a defender of zoophilia, but that Isaac was particularly sick and needed help. Here are the activities he detailed to the researcher.
I have raped female pups. I have slit open the bellies and used the hole for a place to fuck.
He continued to detail.
I have left many dogs injured as a result of raping them.
Hanny followed this up by writing,
This is obviously very disturbing, and I wish I could have contacted these people to get more information about what exactly happened. The man who raped dogs sounds like a very sick person, and I discussed his situation later.
Further in this interview, he detailed more of his fantasies, which included having sex with children. He also reported to have raped over 100 different animals prior to this interview, in 1995. One thing to note, many animal rapists like to delude themselves into thinking human-animal relations are normal and healthy, that animals can consent, and it is no different than Dick and Jane going out and having a good old romp in the hay. Tim knows exactly what he's doing though. Amongst zoophiles, Tim is exceptionally cruel and sadistic. He told Hanny that if he did to humans what he did to animals, he would be arrested. He did, however, say he treated his own Levers, his second wife Mandy at this time, very well. He made sure the dog enjoyed the rape. Tim was not much online in 1996. One thing to note, while looking over Tim's life, he occasionally has time of regret where he is less active. Tim knows he's an awful person, and sometimes the voices of reason get to him and he briefly ceases his behavior. January 27, 1996, Tim posted to a sexual addiction recovery group typing,
I think that I am a sex addict. I have written down most of my sexual adventures in a kind of bio. Is this a place to post it? I have done many things, but I am now into animals in a big way. Would it offend anyone if I posted my sexual history here? I would like to get the advice from other addicts about the things I have been through and am going through.
He got one response. Why no, I wouldn't be offended at all. If you're serious, don't post your tale here. Some of us might be trying to avoid internet porn while using the net constructively, but do share your tales immediately with the nearest mental health center you can find for your own sake. 1997. In 1997, Tim lost his dog, Farquhar. He wrote about it on a website called SleepyNet under his dog dude handle. It did not appear that the death happened due to anything Tim did to the dog. He would get another puppy the same year, according to a video by a YouTuber named Archive the Wolf. From looking at archived posts from an old internet thing called Usenet, Tim would proceed to post pictures of dog genitalia through 1997, most likely of the new puppy. 1998. Famous videos. Tim would progress past just uploading puppy photos to uploading his own work to the net in 1998 for organizational purposes. I will detail Tim's most well-known videos in this part. They were all most likely filmed in the late 90s and early 2000s, all extremely horrific and graphic. I want to add here that because a lot of his worst content that would most likely land him in jail happened during this time, that Tim is most likely able to avoid jail now. Animal cruelty laws have short statute of limitations that definitely would not land an arrest for these over 20-year-old actions. It is thought by many zoo hunters on the website Kiwi Farms that Tim made 3 of his most well-known works during this year, 1998. These are Easy to Open, Gushy, and Hung Bitch. Oof. Hung Bitch will be legendary on the internet amongst zoophiles and gore enthusiasts alike. Hung Bitch, as mentioned before, is more gruesome than the name suggests. The description of the video on Kiwi Farms caused me to hyperventilate. It involves skinning a dog alive, raping it, and hanging it. Tim films the video while another man does the act. A wiki, called the Screamer Wiki, would describe each of these videos that were made during this time. All of these videos involve extreme animal rape, mutilation, and murder. And, in some cases, Tim would eat parts of his victims, though this was not in any of the videos we will talk about. Yeah, I just wanted to add that sometimes he ate the sexual organs of the animals he raped with his cum inside of them. The dogs in these homemade pornographies all met terrible fates that they did not deserve. I really cannot describe these videos online. I feel as if it would trigger some kind of indecency law with just the description. This isn't just me not wanting to get demonetized. In fact, while making this video, the wiki went down, and I wonder if even the descriptions could have caused this. Just know, I originally read out the descriptions from the Screamer Wiki and had to stop, because I was crying. I then typed them out and had an AI read the descriptions, but while listening back to it while editing, all I could think is, no one should hear what this man did in this much detail. What was done to these dogs is insane. It feels unreal. Like, how could something like this happen? How do we, a collective we, allow this to happen anywhere on this planet? It is cruel. It is disgusting. And the people who do these actions to living creatures have no right to exist on this earth. It can cause a religious man to question the existence of God, and an atheist to desire the existence in the face of evil. The descriptions will be on screen for those brave enough to read. Some of these videos are also thought to have been produced in the 2010s, when Tim wasn't really active on the ClearNet. As someone who did not view these videos, I cannot confirm the exact time, but all these videos are attributed to Tim. The creation of these videos would mark the end of posts from Tim in the 90s. After this, Tim would go by different aliases in the 2000s. Legend says that Tim was caught in the zoo community for his egregious abuse of animals. I am unsure of where the following DMs took place, but someone by the name of Jamie said by late 1998 everyone knew about Tim's puppy killing. It seems Tim was caught. I believe he was caught by other practicing zoos, such as a man named Douglas Spink. They most likely gave him a warning but did not inform police, because they themselves were also participating in illegal and dangerous sexual activity. Chapter 4.3 2000 to 2009 ClearNet Tim. Tim Wynn would reappear on the net on LiveJournal March 6, 2003 as Mute Mutt. Mute Mutt would be used in later pornographies he made as initials, MM for a watermark. His first post was innocent, writing,
"Well, I finally made it. A good friend gave me access to this. I have been hoping for a long time for someone to think I was cool enough to give me a code. Thanks, man."
He would also join Beast Forums and Pet Lust during the 2000s. He had a clean slate now. There, he would begin making pornography with a yellow lab named Chunky. The videos he made raping her were not as graphic as the torture, murder pornography Tim was producing just a few years before. In fact, some of the videos that I referenced earlier were said to be made during this time, but the ones he was posting to these forums were a lot less violent. And because of this, Tim Wynn would become a celebrity on these more tame zoophile websites. There is almost two layers for animal rapists. The less egregious of the two are the zoophiles, those who, as I said earlier, believe they are in a loving, consensual relationship with their animals. The secondary is the zoo sadists. That's what Tim is deep down. Someone who is a zoophile, but particularly gets off to the atrocities he can commit while getting off. These websites, Pet Lust and Beast Forums, prided themselves on being the former type. Tim had 3 dogs by 2004, Chunky, who he refers to as a porn star, Ira, and Mooey. He raped all 3 of them for content for the zoophile forums. Video titles include Chunky Not Creamy, Screw the Pooch, and Man in Female Dog. Tim would mask his face in these videos to hide his identity. A Kiwi farmer, as Dadu, would describe one of Tim Wynn's videos titled Happy Dog, writing, "It seems likely this was Tim's own little bestiality studio in the 2000s. The video has no sound like other Tim videos. It features a chubby, small-dicked, middle-aged man, Tim, raping several dogs. Number 1, golden dog lying on her back, legs up. Tim is trying to penetrate her. Eventually, cameraman films from behind, and we get a shot of his ass while he's f***ing the dog. Number 2, now the position is reversed. The female dog is on top. He grabs her tail and starts humping slowly. Number 3, golden dog is again lying on her back on the bed. Tim is standing behind holding her belly down while a Rottweiler licks the dog's vagina. He then lifts the dog up, putting him on top of the golden female, grabs the base of the penis, and penetrates the golden with it by lifting her from below and pushing her upwards. He ends by rubbing the tip of the Rottweiler's penis with the golden's vagina. At this point, she is squirming. The home's wood panel floors make a cameo, as does Tiny Tim. Number 4, the golden is now clearly squirming. Tim is holding each other with a grip and continuing to force sex with each other. After this, he removes the Rottweiler and moves in place to rape the dog himself. Another video he made that As Dadu summarized was titled Onyx. During this time, he had the MMP watermark on his videos for Mute Mutt Productions. Other videos include Tippy, Platinum, Gold Muff, Small Furry Animal, and Ox Lika. Not every video featured Tim, however. Some would include other zoophiles. But just know every video featured sexual abuse of animals. Some of these videos would feature voice clips of Tim. This would be clipped later by people hunting for those who abuse animals. This is the voice of a monster.
Okay, you're kind of blocking the light a little bit. There we go. Go ahead and get him all the way unsheathed when he gets hard. Wow. Go ahead and, pull his sheath back and get him all the way out there. Because he really gets out there. He gets big. You give Roger a run for his money.
He would also post ads to these forums telling the readers his location, Winlock, Washington, and invited other zoophiles to make content with him. In fact, Tim would post to the forums asking to shoot animal rape pornography for other zoo enthusiasts.
I live in the upper left coast of the USA. I make all respects good videos. I would love to entertain the idea of shooting private and/or video to be released with others in my area. I have some postings up now that show my quality of footage. I can do any format and also can mask out faces or other identifiable marks throughout the footage. PM me or pop me off an email.
This would later down the line lead to vigilantes doxing the majority of the men who had identifiable features in the videos. Based. Tim's father would die the January of 2005. A decade prior, Tim revealed to his father that he had been molested for years. He posted about this, disappointed, hoping it would maybe resolve feelings in him. This post is from 1995.
Today I told my father that I had been molested for years by a neighborhood boy. It was not easy for me and took 20+ years to tell him. The sad thing is that I don't feel better. I feel worse now. I feel like I put the burden on him. Is this normal? I feel like I should not have told him. What do you all think? Thanks. I feel sad.
Tim fell back into his regretful ways after this. Tim switches between truly enjoying what he does to animals and feeling deep regret. Often the regret is either fake to escape the consequences of his actions, or it is Tim realizing he is a monster while drinking too much. He posted this on April 7th of 2005.
It is so true that you cannot escape your past. It's a huge circle and always comes back around to slap you in the face. Over and over I get slapped, but really I doubt that I will stop trying. It's just in my nature to wish to be accepted. I probably will go to my grave wishing I could change my past, undo the pain that I have inflicted, but I can't. I try to move on, but the circle just continues to present itself. There is a way to escape it, but some say only cowards and fools do such. Am I?
But Tim wasn't that remorseful, because just 3 days later, he posted to LiveJournal about eyeing sexy dogs at a dog show. In 2006, one of Tim's friends died. In April of the following year, April 27, 2007, he would post about it to the Beast forums.
This video is different than my normal man/female dog videos I have posted here. This video is of a man, you have seen his penis and body, that passed away last year from a diabetic problem. Paul knew he was in ill health for years, and he had asked me many times upon his death that I release the video of him unedited with his voice and face. I gave this many months of thought and time. I have chosen to honor his request in this manner. I have selected some good stuff out of his videos and put together a slideshow in this video clip. Please feel free and pass the video around. That is what he wanted. Please don't alter this, for this is his and my last video.
This friend passing away really left a mark on him, even a year later. August 29th, 2007, Tim posted to his LiveJournal.
I see it's been over 2 years since I posted here. Not really sure where to start. I guess with today. I decided to build an actual kennel on my property. Going to contact some contractors to see what the costs are for the slab and footings. Mandy, well, she is still alive, but is very old and tired. Man, it is so hard to see. As most everyone knows, about a year ago, I lost a good friend. I still think of him a great deal. I wish I could have seen the future. My work is going well. I will think of more things and more in-depth things to speak on soon.
The man in the video would be doxxed after Tim uncensored him. Tim's most important wife, Mandy the dog, passes soon after this as well. In the September of 2007, Tim's friend found a lump on Mandy's head, and then in October, Mandy was put to sleep. Tim wrote to his LiveJournal upon her passing.
Passage of Mandy. At about 1600 today, Mandy was put to sleep. Mandy was with myself and my wife at the point of her transit. I was on the floor in the vet's office with my head next to hers and body next to hers as I felt her pass. Mandy had a very fast-growing tumor, and in the past 4 days, things had gone south very fast. Mandy is survived by Bubba, Lodi, Sammy, Ryan, and Colin. Mandy was 11 years, 5 months old. May 23, 1996 to October 17, 2007. Today tops the list of bad days of the passing of my mother, Goober, and Paul. I find it very cruel joke that whatever decided dogs are so short-lived.
Tim would say that he told Mandy not to wait for him at the Rainbow Bridge. For you non-animal owners, people often say when a pet dies, they descend over the Rainbow Bridge to pet heaven, where you get to see them. I am sure people say this about humans as well, but the Rainbow Bridge is something I specifically hear about when a pet passes. Years later, Tim would write this about Mandy's passing.
I think there is a place, Rainbow Bridge, that they wait for you all happy and healthy. They go with you to your heaven when you cross. I'm a bad person, I know it. I ask my beloved not to wait. My greatest fear is that she is.
2009, gets caught by Doug. Tim would continue making content on the Beast forums and Pet Lust, but in the background, he was also making more horrific content for the deep web. According to Archive the Wolf, zoophiles who were opposed to more sadistic animal rape were able to link the Rainsters' videos to the torturous pornography found on the deep web.
While maintaining this normal zoo and minor celebrity persona, Tim continued to torture puppies and other animals and film himself doing it. The same video sharing advancements that turned him into a celebrity on ClearNet zoophilia sites also let his torture films be shared by himself and others. But this increased spread also meant he no longer had complete control over their distribution, and eventually these would come to the attention of a zoophile and zoo ally vigilante group. Parsing details from the torture videos that matched the videos put out under his Rainsters persona, they were able to corner him and make him confess, before letting him go, under the promise he would stop. This part of the story is not well documented online. The only reason we even know it happened is because Tim broke his promise and went back to filming himself cutting open puppies and eating them. Unsurprisingly, it resulted in him being caught once again, this time with the help of the bestiality advocate Douglas Spink, also known as Fausti in zoophile circles. And once again, despite knowing his history and seeing he had no intention of stopping, the zoophiles and zoo allies let him go once again.
This would cause famous zoophile enthusiast Douglas Spink, if you'd like to know more about Spink, check the Zoophile series by Toad McKinley, to confront him for his heinous actions.
Nobody who hates zoosadists more than zoophiles. Nobody. I say this from first-hand experience. So when such monsters pop up in our world, they are swiftly spotlighted and dealt with, usually quietly, with no big public fanfare, and solely with the aim of ensuring that they don't ever hurt anybody again.
If Spink had indeed put a stop to people torturing animals, it would not have excused him from raping them himself, but it would have been a net positive if even one animal abuser was taken off the streets. I'm all for these sick fucks turning on each other. Unfortunately, that isn't the case. Spink's idea of stopping people who torture animals to death is not to report them to the police and have them arrested. It's to get them to stop abusing the animals without bringing heat to the zoophile community.
I've already disclosed my own history in working with ad hoc groups to address zoosadists in the past. For us, it's simple. It wasn't about getting lauded publicly or getting people arrested or getting people ostracized from the community. For us, success was making sure these people could never hurt another animal ever again. That's the goal, obviously. Now, short of that goal, we would deem our efforts to be a failure. That's pretty simple, isn't it?
He repeatedly claims that his crusade is above the law, and is in fact more effective, because whatever vague methods he uses actually makes animal torturers stop what they're doing. Specifically, he gloats about his success in taking down 2 zoosadists in the past, one Randy Pepe and Rainsters, the latter of which was widely known in the early zoophile community for producing, quote, normal bestiality, as in just rape.
This was apparently the second time Tim had been confronted and warned to stop his torture of animals. It is alleged, and might even be, that both times it was Douglas Spink who confronted him to give him a final warning. Now, why did a group of people who claim to love animals in a more complex and special way than normal people not report Timwin to the authorities for his crimes? Well, they want to protect their own animal rape. Doug would act as if he was a true animal lover, that his sex with animals was consensual and loving, but he would always make sure to protect his own ability to get off rather than that of animal well-being. Tim would disappear from the ClearNet as a zoophile at this point. No Google group postings about jerking off with fur, and no videos to the Beast forums with his dog, Chunky. 2009 to 2014, disappears from ClearNet as a zoophile. Between 2009 and 2014, Tim's ClearNet activity was scant. However, according to the Screamer Wiki, he possibly produced 2 of his videos during this time. But from other Kiwi Farms posts, it does seem more likely that the majority of his content was made between the 90s and the early 2000s. We will go over the few postings I could find of his during this time period. Also, because of his emergence later in the timeline, we can find private activity he did during this time period. For example, he created an account on some website called imgsrc.ru that a Kiwi farmer says is notorious for CP. That's child porn. The folder, which is locked from viewing, that Tim uploaded to this account was titled Child Bath. So it is likely Tim was using certain websites to share and spread child porn during this time, allegedly for legal reasons. He also posted to websites in 2012 called Dreaming Demon under his Rainsters account. One would think he would be careful, but Tim has been murdering and raping animals since his childhood and has remained free. He doesn't need to be careful. The laws don't help animals. Dreaming Demon is a site that is concerned with grotesque news stories. On July 24th, 2012, he joined and posted about a bestiality brothel in Ottawa. Even when he is supposed to be remorseful for his animal rape, he doesn't stop. During this year, he also began posting to Reddit as Winlock Tim. He posted mostly to the Ask Reddit throughout the December of 2012, which revealed more information about himself. It revealed his distaste for human women and his obsession with masturbation. But even more disturbing, December 24th, 2012, Tim posted to the Ask subreddit. The archive link to the post is not working, but I believe the original post was asking Redditors the hardest things they've had to do in their life, and Tim responded,
Put down the love of my life and telling her not to wait for me at the Rainbow Bridge.
I mentioned this before, but while researching, this statement really sticks with me. Tim knows he won't have the good ending. Tim knows what he is doing is wrong and continues to do it. There are a few points where Tim will seek rehabilitation from his addiction, but it never lasts even a year. Tim would reappear on Bestiality Internet briefly as well in 2012 to remember his friend Wolf dying in a car accident. June 13th, 2013, Tim posted announcing his dog Tippy had passed. In the fall of 2013, Tim would be more open on Reddit with his sexuality. He seemed to be testing the waters under his Winlock Tim account. Perhaps he felt confidence because his arch nemesis, Douglas Spink, had been sent to federal prison for his crimes against animals and violating his parole in 2010. He was released in 2013, but was on parole and was sent to prison again in 2014 for violating parole again. He seemed to be too busy to follow through with his threats to Timwin, and Tim soon would go back to being open about his crimes. July 31st, 2013, he posted to the Portland subreddit, complaining about how hard it is to get free puppies. On August 8th, 2013, he posted to the subreddit r/sex with dogs.
Wouldn't being with a puppy be like being a zoo p***o?
August 27th of the same year, he posted this to r/dirty pen pals.
I'd like to chat with those that like to fantasize about topping young animals. Nothing is too gross or brutal. Lambs, puppies, kid goats, small and impossibly tight. No human stuff, please.
September 15th, 2013, Tim responded to a Reddit thread titled, Explain it to me like I'm 5. Files of Reddit. What types of things do you usually keep in your vans? Tim responded as Winlock Tim.
Dog bones and Astroglide.
October 26th, 2013, Tim responded to another Ask Reddit thread.
I am sexually attracted to puppy bellies. I love how they look, taste, and feel.
Chapter 5, 2014 to 2018. Tim joined the Zoo Sadists. Tim was posting quite a bit on Reddit early on in the year, but in February 2014, Tim joined a website called E621. According to WikiFur, E621 is basically a website where you can tag images. There are other websites like this, for example, something called Danbaroo was what I saw referenced, but this one is specifically for furry porn. There are tags you can follow to find particular porn you're interested in. I personally don't understand this stuff, but I don't like to spend my time looking at Starfucks, 64 porn, or Sonic, or whatever the fuck. Tim joined the site under the name Mate Pups. Here are an example of tags that Tim was into on this site. Again, Tim Amoroso, Timothy George Amoroso from Winlock, Washington, is into all of what I'm about to list. Amputation, amputee, anthro, blood, bodily fluids, cave, death, decapitation, disability, disembowelment, erection, female, genitals, gore focus, group, hardbore, male, necrophilia, penis, severed head, gore, amputee, anal piercing, blood from pussy, blood in pussy, blood on body, blood on face, dismemberment, eaten raw, exposed breast tissue, oh my god, that's fucking, exposed breast tissue, exposed muscle, genital mutilation, genital piercing, genital torture, genitals, gore focus, grotesque, death, anthro, anus, child, cub, female, blue eyes, no one, not so bad, bodily fluids, canine genitalia, canine penis, claws, crib, crying, erect nipples, female feral, flat-chested, child again, clothing, clothed, female, yeah, okay, volley, oh, wow, oh, I'm getting loud, sorry, this is so bad. This account would eventually be hacked in the 2020s, and we can see his first DM he had on this. This DM occurred February 3rd, 2014. A person named Stallion4Cubs was DMing Tim, writing,
It does seem like we share a passion for the very young, winky face.
If you don't know what cub means, it's furry code for underage. Tim would respond a few days later,
Yes, I see that we do. I so love huge toys and cocks ripping into the tender ones.
to which Stallion4Cubs responded.
I have a rather big cock myself. Tempting thought.
Tim was fully into his darker side on the internet now. He teased about his interests in 2013, but it's unknown if he continued to torture animals offline between the years listed of 2009 to 2014, but it's most likely he was, and in 2014 he became fully out in the open about what he was interested in. He must have felt safe from the threats of Douglas Spink. Doug was back in prison by May of 2014, and Tim was free to be as sick as he pleased. In March of 2014, he began posting openly as Winlock Tim on the subreddit r/bestiality.
No, PL did not drug them. She was just well trained and very used to cock. Canines are mostly tight and hot. Goats and sheep are like f***ing warm butter.
And in May of that year, through the end of the year, Tim was very openly posting to the subreddit r/pics of dead kids. He was complimenting these photos with comments such as,
It's a great picture. Great stuff. Thanks for the post. Hot. Very hot.
These comments were getting more perverted. In August of 2014, Tim was posting these comments in r/pics of canine vaginas.
Bestiality should be legal. Yummy cream pie. That's a love lube. She looks well used. I like eating retriever beaver.
Also, August 9th, 2014, Tim joined the white supremacist website Stormfront, posting as Winlock Tim, and posted his first post on the same day.
Hi, I am happy to find this forum. I feel that with the current political atmosphere and high office holder, things are very grim for the hope of racial equality. The white man is being thrown under the bus in a big way. I hope with this forum we can start to change the tide of things. I am happy to take PMs anytime. I am a dog lover. My place of employment is all white. Smiley face.
User Isaac Conrad replied to Tim with,
To hell with racial equality. We're not equal. We're not the same. The world would be a much better place if we'd just accept that and move on. Not to say you were championing equality, that part just stuck out at me. I'm a dog lover too. We've got 4. What kind of dogs do you have? Or rather, what kind of dogs have you? Huh.
to which Tim responded,
I was not saying that I want racial equality. What I was trying to say is that in this country, we, white race, is now thought of as below most other races. So to getting back to a place that we're thought of as equal would be a good start. About the only thing the mass media feels is below the white race is a white man. It just sucks these days. I have golden mixes, 4 of them. Also, one of my girls is a purebred golden. What breed of dogs do you have?
That was Tim's final response on the website. Racist and a dog rapist? Pick a struggle. August 12th, 2014, Tim posted to r/baddragon about how small his penis is. As we will see in later DMs, Tim is very sensitive about his small penis. I've seen this penis. He says in this post from August 12th, 2014, his dick is 4.25 inches. It is not. It is way smaller than that. I'm sorry, I peeked. It is way smaller than that. And, very, very ugly. Tim, I am laughing at you. We are all laughing at you. I will be making fun of him for his insecurities throughout this video. Just know these insults are not about anyone else but Tim, and these insults are merely a tool in hopes to cause him some misery in his life. If you have mental functioning issues or a smaller junk, I'm not making fun of you. I'm making fun of a rapist whose feelings are hurt when this is mentioned. This isn't about you, Kim. I'm sure I'll get some complaints, but f*** you, I don't give a shit. We're gonna make fun of this dog rapist's tiny dick. September 2014, Tim created his Reddit account, MatePups. Tim repeated something he has said before under this MatePups account. On September 19th, 2019, in a comment in the subreddit r/confession, Tim wrote about how he will not cross the Rainbow Bridge.
I think there is a place, a rainbow bridge that they wait for you all happy and healthy. They go with you to your heaven when you cross. I'm a bad person, I know it. I asked my beloved not to wait. My greatest fear is that she is.
Tim continued to post as Winlock Tim up until the end of 2014. That is, until December 2014, when Tim created his own subreddit. This subreddit was titled Innocent Victim Reports. Innocent Victim Reports were a collection of news stories of people who met a terrible fate despite not deserving it. This includes animal and child rape stories. This was a legal way for Tim to post about his fetishes, as well as connect with others who are as sick as him. His first post to this subreddit happened on the same day of creation. This was a post reading,
Yankee Rusty Torres gets 3 years for hitting a home run with an 8-year-old girl.
He was still posting as Winlock Tim in 2015. I did say he stopped posting as Winlock Tim in 2014, but he did a few times in 2015. The majority of these posts would be suspect, but in November 2015, November 7th to be exact, Tim made an all-new main Reddit account. This new Reddit was Dog Slot, reading directly from a Kiwi Farms post. User, Dog Slot Reddit account, created 2015. User created the subreddit r/sexy_dead_dogs and created the subreddit's only post, New Kinky Animal Sub, which reads, PM me if you like sexy use of animals. User also commented,
I do find dead dogs and puppies very sexy.
Under the same post. He also began posting images to r/men fucking animals. These images were titled
Sheep f***ing, black cream pie, black animal, rotten heat, usage of randomness, male on male canine, doggy BJ. It tastes like iron and salt, sitting on the dock of the bay. Very old 8mm grab of man f***ing F Dobie, wet dog twat. Please place any request here. I have a very wide and deep collection of animal-related activity. Enjoy, please. Let's try and keep this sub alive.
Tim was back in the business of posting content now. November 11th, Tim commented,
Here is the attempt at an anon-file hosting site. Feedback about the hosting site, please.
Throughout November, Tim posted shots from his works, hinting to users of the subreddits Men F***ing Animals, Necro-Bestialcest, and Bestiality that he had videos to come. By the end of November, he upgraded from posting images to posting animated GIFs of the animal rape pornography he had on file. A lot of this content was work he started himself, his obese body and tiny penis seen on screen, raping various dogs. December 22nd, 2015, Tim made a new subreddit titled sexy_dead_dogs. I mentioned this. This was what his first post to that subreddit read.
New kinky animal sub. PM me if you like sexy use of animals. I do find dead dogs and puppies very sexy. This sub must have a verified email attached to your nick.
Chapter 6, 2016, DMs. Someone new came into Tim's world in 2016. Tim would become connected to more zoophiles in this year and produce a piece of content that eventually led to many zoophiles being caught. But we aren't quite there in the timeline quite yet. January 1st, 2016, a YouTuber known at the time as Kira the Wolf would join Reddit under the account The Dog Man 2. It has been discussed in many videos, proving that this account belonged to Kiro. Kiro was very important in this stuff because he was the most famous person involved. Joshua, aka Kira the Wolf, would on this day message Tim Wynn, who was the moderator for the now banned hard bestiality subreddit called r/Animal Nightmare. Josh requested access to this subreddit. To get access, Josh revealed to Tim that he had plenty of his own hard zoophile rape content. He said that he had 5 gigabytes of torture animal rape from the dark website Animal's Nightmare. This caused him to allow Kiro into the closed subreddit. I'm going to read directly from a Kiwi Farms user who posted about these DMs between Kiro and Tim. The following DMs are presented in chronological order from the oldest to newest. DMs written by Joshua R. Green. Timothy and Joshua first met when Joshua messaged the mods of r/Animal Nightmares, a banned subreddit created by Timothy dedicated to sharing hard bestiality pics and videos. To prove his zoo sadist credentials, Joshua reveals that he used to be a member of the now defunct dark net site Animal's Nightmare, and tells Timothy that he has plenty of saved content from said site. How much content had Joshua downloaded from Animal's Nightmare, you might ask? 5 gigabytes. Timothy was impressed by this to such a degree that he approved Joshua as a submitter to r/Animal Nightmare. Joshua revealed to Timothy that he particularly enjoys the, quote, the forced ones, as long as they're not killed in the act or seriously hurt, unquote, and that he, quote, loves the necrozoo ones, unquote. I'm not sure where Timothy is referring to when he talks in this message about posting things, probably r/Animal Nightmare. What's notable here is Tim's effusive praise directed towards the content that Joshua produced and shared with him, presumably also on r/Animal Nightmare. Joshua goes into detail as to how he defiles the dead animals he finds on the side of the road. Timothy gives us a partial list of the various animals he's raped/tortured/murdered/defiled. For the first time, Timothy reveals that he's f***ed cats. Sorry. I love cats. F*** you, Tim. Ugh. Timothy also takes credit for ETO, Biggie, etc. Interestingly, in the Telegram leaks, Timothy was very coy about his involvement in producing these videos, and avoided taking credit. Stay tuned for a future post about this. Joshua opens up even further to Tim, revealing they have far more in common than you might think. Joshua fantasizes about having, quote, normal sex, unquote, with a wolf before cutting its head off and sticking his dick down its throat hole. Joshua even has an eerily similar interest in cutting open animals' bellies and f***ing the hole. According to Timothy, if two people have the same sadistic fetish, then it's, quote, not messed up at all, unquote. The final Reddit DMs between Timothy and Joshua show Timothy requesting permission to re-upload some photos Joshua produced. They then moved their conversation to Telegram. Their DMs were horrific.
Interesting reply to my necro post. I'm not into breaking bones, but one thing that I like to do is if their intestines are exposed, I like to cut it open and then f*** their large intestine semi:(D). It's also fun to do that with their throats as well, :D. What dead animals have you done?
I can't agree more with you in fucking the lower abdomen cavity. It is just what I was implying when I mentioned SPH. Truly, you are for real. I have been with many dead canines, young and old. Young is best. Been with dead mice, rats, dogs, cats, deers, goats, sheep. I am sure I am missing a few, but you get the picture. I do kill critters for my necro needs.
I couldn't bring myself to kill another creature. If they died from a car or natural causes, They don't really need their body anymore, so I don't mind using it winky face. But I am kind of jelly that you've been with so many. Happen to have any more sexy pictures of your encounters?
I suspect you have seen my work, ETO, Biggie, etc.
I don't think I have. I've seen the deer one you posted and the dead dog, but that's about it.
By January 10th of that year, Tim began to post old videos from Pet Lost to the various animal-themed subreddits. January 23rd, Tim responded to several comments with the same text.
This sub is about folks that do extreme sex acts to animals. This can include S&M, torture, snuff, and necro. Do you still wish in?
He was completely back in the business of torture zoophilia. February 20th, 2016, Tim posted to various subreddits implying his dog at the time, Colin, had passed. April 30th, 2016, or around, Tim joined the furry website Fur Affinity under the username MatePups. He also joined Ink Bunny as the same username, most likely around this time, but eventually changed his username to Fox Kitter before his account was deleted. All his favorites on Ink Bunny were of artwork of children, human and anthropomorphic furry children. Through these various accounts, Tim would gain access to new zoophiles and would eventually be invited to several furry groups by a man who went by the name Snake Thing. Chapter 6.2 Snake Thing and Tim Meet Up. In 2016, Tim would make connections to be invited to several Telegram groups by Snake Thing, also known as Levi Dane Simmons. Telegram is a more secure messaging application that enables people to share more not safe for work content that cannot be traced back to the user. According to Archive the Wolf, it turned out Snake Thing and Tim only lived 5 hours apart, and the two would begin to plan in these DMs something horrible. Before the event, in 2016, Snake Thing and Tim planned to meet up in Coos Bay, Oregon, at a motel. They got their hands on a Craigslist puppy. I believe it was a female pit bull. They took the dog to the motel and proceeded to violently rape her. First, Snake Thing would rape her for a while Tim filmed. Then Tim would finish the rape in the bathroom alone, embarrassed by his very, very itty-bitty, tiny little baby dick. What they put the small female puppy through that night was a nightmare. They would later describe the acts in DMs.
I like the part that she is flopping around her around. Good.
I agree with you there. And when I start to push into her and she starts standing up, XD.
Yeah, she was hurting. Oh heck, don't worry about not getting hard. Heck, I am old and it's not always easy for me. I am shy about my size is sort of why I fucked her in the bathroom. But perhaps next time I will try and get some wood around you.
Smiles. I find it easier to get the mental preparations right for me while I'm hard, though with more experience it'll get easier with time, as you said. Aw, I heard that splashing all over the bathroom, and I felt it on my feet too. XD. Must have really scared her to get her to piss herself that much, you sexy. I'm glad you had a nice time with her, though. Next time I'll watch you fuck her. As with your size, it may not be the best in the world, but I love your tool that you got in between your legs. It's used for quite the fantastic things, and that is what counts the most.
Yeah, it was easy to get her to pee for me. I rubbed her gash a bit and had her out a bit down on her vulva, and she was a fountain that quickly.
Damn. Looks like me fucking her hilt deep wasn't enough pain for her. Going to have to give the next pups, we'll have more of that then, to make up for lost pain we didn't get to do.
Yup, make the next one suffer.
They were meant to snuff out the puppy when they were finished. Snuff out means murder her, but Snake Thing would say he wimped out of it after looking into the puppy's eyes.
I don't much mind looking into their eyes. It is fun when you are about or taking their life. Sometimes. Depends on the pup. Some I can see they are smart and seems to have the wheels turning. For those normally I set free. The one we had, I also regret not snuffing her after you were departed. But I didn't. She would have been fun to use all limp and stuff.
I know you held back for me, and it is appreciated. While I regret now not snuffing her, I was a bit emotionally fragile for a little bit afterwards, thanks to the mild stress of the situation. Not a bad thing. And my nervousness. Depends on the pup, I guess, as you said. Next time, as I promised you, we're gonna snuff the pup, I promise.
And remove its head so you can fuck it. I want to see your cock covered in puppy guts, and I have to untangle it with my maw.
God, we need it ASAP. I want to ruin a pup next time. I don't want it to be let go. Last time it needed to be for my emotional thing, but this coming time definitely won't live. Heart.
Yummy. We can kiss after I have untangled your tool from the puppy's SBH.
The puppy was dropped off at an undisclosed location, physically damaged and bleeding from the rape she experienced. It is unknown if she survived after the event. After the event, they would reminisce and talk, and they would plan to meet again.
Same here. Someday it will all come together again like it did with the horror we had.
Smiles. It will, definitely. I really look forward to that day. It'll be quite the experience.
This time I think we will both be more comfortable and the puppy will suffer much, much more from her used, ripped parts.
Wholeheartedly agreed. We got to meet, and we know each other now and are a bit more comfortable. It'll help a ton for next time. Definitely. The pup will suffer quite heavily. Cut limbs, open body, off head, etc.
Yes, she will be wishing for us to snuff her.
Which we will do for her, definitely. But only after she's suffered trauma to at least most of her body and organs from humping and toying. But if we can't get a pup, at least I'd be happy to cuddle with you. In case you're so awesome.
That would be nice too.
But they never made it past plans in the meetup.
Next time you keep a trophy.
A lil towel with its own story to tell. Oh? What could I keep that won't decay? A bone?
I guess since you can't use your freezer, perhaps a large tuft of fur.
That could work. If we are outside going camping or something, we could skin a bone too. Me and you can keep one, each of the biggest ones. Not sure what else, however.
Hey, or we get a bone from the pup. Break it in half and you keep one part, I the other.
Oh, yeah, that sounds great. We could carve our initials on each other's bone. C. LDS is mine.
I love it. We could use it as an anal toy for each other.
As long as it ain't gonna splinter in me, then I will use it as a toy, definitely.
Well, we put the unbroken side in silly.
Other details were revealed in these 2016 to 2018 Telegram chats as well, such as that Tim Wynn is the Jeffrey Dahmer of the Zoo Files.
Giggles. Of course! Whenever we get a pup, you have permission to cook what you want from it in my house. Though you may need to get me a nose plug or something, maybe. XD. I think I may be fine as long as it isn't a bad smell.
Sounds like a plan.
We'll see. Hugs. It does.
I like to fry up the female sex organs.
Ooh, really? Oh, whoa. Is it good? You won't bacon lube in there, will you, if you end up cutting her open back there? XD.
Giggles.
I love it.
I bet. It sounds like quite the tasty treat.
The DMs also showed Tim sharing links to child pornography on the deep web, allegedly. I did not check these links to confirm, but that is how Tim described this himself. Tim also invited Levi to join another .onion site called Animal Hell, which is a private site for producers of extreme animal torture, rape, and necrophilia pornography.
I can perhaps get you a vote on Animal Hell. It's a private site for producers.
Ooh, really? That's rather exciting. I'd really appreciate that. Hugs tight.
You will have to contact the admin of Animal's Dark Paradise. Tell him Mate Pup sent you. He will start the vote on Animal Hell. You will then have a place to put your vids if you so choose.
Where do I contact him at? And all right, is the place semi-active there or just the occasional post and or discussion? And thank you. Kitty face nya.
The DM also revealed Tim and his wife's marriage was on the rocks.
How have you been?
Hanging in there.
Aw, things been getting you down?
Nope, not much. Wife issues, but that is nothing abnormal.
Aw, my condolences, hun. I hope things get better for you. Hugs tight.
Wishing one and the other. See what one you get.
I don't quite understand what you mean. Oh, whoa.
It's an old person saying, not a chance things will change.
Ah, I wish I could help. Cry face.
Thanks.
A few of these DMs also showed Tim expressing regret for his actions, usually fueled by alcohol.
But these guy-hurting animals just hear them scream as BS. What sense is that? Jerks. Makes me think they have never really loved a dog. I have. I miss Colin, and it's been a year, but it sucks.
A person's interest is a person's interest. I may like the yelping and whining as well, but not pure torture. There has to be some humping or something in that regard for me. As I've said as well, fantasy is a lot more tantalizing than reality is. They may talk big game, but we aren't 100% sure they'd do it besides Moose. He'd do it. Yep, I know. Holds on to. I wish you still had him.
You would have loved him. He was so into humans. Smart as hell. I wish you could have met him.
I wish I could have met him too, hun. He sounds like an amazing dog and an amazing friend.
I only had his ass when he was a puppy. He was not a f***ing toy. I miss him. Sorry, too much vodka.
You know, it's actually kind of interesting. The more time passes by and the more I paw to the stuff I made and to my thoughts, well, it was gradually building up over the years, but now that I've experienced it, I'm starting to become even more numb to it. I don't feel as guilty as I used to. Feels refreshing, actually. Weirdly pleasurable in the thought, too. The thought that I don't feel guilty about it anymore, that is.
Yeah, the guilt quickly fades away, I have found with puppies. I don't find it that fast with adult dogs. I'm just sort of weird that way.
Rubs your ears a bit, and I guess it can sort of correlate with mine and yours death-fearing a bit. Adult dogs kind of know they are alive, and they've had a whole life ahead of them, per se. Pups are pups. They haven't experienced much life, so it comes to reason that it's easier for you because they barely have a life to snuff out in the first place, besides what beats in their chest. Plus the innocence thing too, which is great.
That is how I look at it with pups, for sure. Adult dogs perhaps have known love and have trusted humans. Then to betray them in such a way is sort of repulsive to me. Don't get me wrong, I have and probably will do it again. But thinking about it too much can lead to a guilt trip big time for myself.
There's something weird, though, that happened around the time of the violent rape in the fall of 2016. Tim created a new Reddit account called Up for Anything 985 and posted to an addiction subreddit on September 20th, 2016.
I am a sex addict, and I have acted out in very bad ways. I am in a sex addict group and have some 3 weeks of sobriety. I am having problems about sharing my thoughts and my past with the fellowship. I feel that I will be rejected when they find out what I am. I don't deal well with rejection, and most likely will run if I sense it. I can't go back to the way I have been my entire life. I have hurt so many animals from acting out that there is no way the members or God will accept me. I will end up as always, alone, sitting in a corner being ignored. It hurts too much. I will just end it if that comes to pass. This is my last chance to fit in.
Someone commented, "Hi, I'm a sex addict as well. You have the same fears that many of us had. My experience has in the meetings is that the members are very supportive and understanding. That said, I believe that certain details should be only shared with a sponsor. When I attend a meeting, I don't go into detail with the group because it may trigger someone else. Do you have a sponsor?" To which Tim Wynn responded,
Yes, I do. He seems to not wanting to help me dig into my junk. I'm not sure I chose the correct one.
But Tim would still be posting about dog rape in these Telegram groups, while acting like he wants to get help for his addiction. 2017 came, and Tim Wynn never got help for his sex addiction. He was still in these Telegram groups, lusting after animals. He was also on E621 in January, looking for an artist with, quote, "zero limits," unquote. By the end of January, Tim was fully back in, sharing his own work in the Zoo Sadist Telegram groups. February 20th, 2017, Tim almost quit making content though. It wasn't his conscience telling him that raping animals to death and murdering rabbits to use as cock sleeves is gross and weird. No, it was because he was made fun of for having a small penis. A man in poor English made fun of Tim's penis in some of the videos he posted. Tim took to DMs to cry about it to Snake Thing.
Faker and the man of easy to open have a cock too small, so probably use dildo. Because with a cock so tiny can't do nothing.
Perhaps set him right. Told you I was small.
Man, he's a dick. He actually already asked me about you, but I didn't want to give confirmation to him because I wasn't sure if you wanted that. No, you're not. Oh, whoa.
I've been trying to be nice, but he is insulting me.
I'd honestly just block him, TBH. He's an okay guy, but he really can be a butthead at times. I'm honestly a bit mad at him for insulting you. That's BS.
So is that what folks think and say about me? Damn, that sucks. I should just go.
He was ready to quit.
Perhaps I need to just take a step back. This stuff isn't for me anymore.
Ah, what stuff? Puppy stuff or talking to people kind of stuff? Apologies, I get confused a bit easily. Just trying to make sure I don't misinterpret your message.
Talking with people. He is blocked.
I know what you mean. It can be exhausting. It's nice to talk to friends you've known for a while, but new people can get really iffy. And all right, hugs.
Had he just chilled the out, I would have given him something, but no. He had to call me small. That hurts. I just know people are saying that about me.
Exactly. He really should have chilled/needs to chill. And yeah, that was totally shitty of him. F***ing BS that he'd say that. And I don't think that, as I said. Can't say for others though, but I don't think they think you're small.
You're just nice. Lots of people laugh at me. It sucks.
He even stewed over this the next day.
Hope you slept well, hun.
Is that person talking shit about me? I asked Golden to kick him, but he didn't. So I left the Beast group. It shows me what people think of me.
I haven't noticed him say anything about you in the other regular Beast group, I think. and squeezes.
I will finish encoding your vids. After that, not sure. It was disturbing to be called fake in the PS comment. I would have thought others would have called him out on it, but nothing. It's prob time. I just do my own thing. I have to think on that.
All right, hun. Well, I know. I would have honestly been hurt if someone said that to me, too. Being called a fake isn't necessarily the worst thing, though, as I'm sure many people claim ownership of other people's stuff all the time in an attempt to trick trades and all of that. The PS comment, though, is fucking BS. I'm still pissed at him. What do you mean by your own thing, if I may inquire? And all right.
Leave this way of communication telegram for starters. I have yet to make up my mind.
He was very sensitive after this.
Well, if you want my personal suggestion, I'd be happy to give it. Up to you, of course. I know, hugs tight.
Sure, advice is good. Since I am dumb and have a tiny cock.
Hey, don't do that, hun. You're not dumb at all. And you most definitely don't have a tiny dick. My personal recommendation would be to do what Pero/Richard did. And just nuke your account here and create a new one. Don't join any groups you don't need to outside of the ones that I made. And keep in contact with the few people you want to. A fresh start, per se.
Not a bad idea. I will think on it.
I hope you're having a good day, hun.
Yep, even for a needle dick.
April 20th, 2017, Tim made new content for the group titled Beastie Beast Beasts. He would tell Snake Thing about it days earlier, saying it involved, quote, lamb pussy, unquote. He also said he was going to sacrifice this lamb. Tim would tell the eager chat of what was to come.
I like this. Isn't this also a sacrificial thing as well? That'd make good sense given the situation.
She is the one closest. Yes, Earth Day.
How much did she cost?
Not too bad, actually.
Gaia will love it.
She will.
No different to hiring a prostitute.
But it'd be a prostitute that is actually worth the money.
Exactly.
Damn, that's gonna be a good time. Any bondage at all around be hot.
Trade it in for a puppy to snuff.
Sorry to be a party pooper, I just desperately want a new easy to open. Gushy, Lumper, or Lakers David. That guy was a god.
Easy to open is still my fave. Well, I'm sure after all the milder fun it might happen.
You're not sure anything will ever top that in my book.
He would proceed to tease some images for the chat members. 2 days later, April 22nd, Tim posted the Earth Day video. The chatters were excited. This is the first new content I've seen Tim put out on the internet since the 2000s. He was probably still making content, but I do not have evidence of this, and neither did the police. This chat became a home for Tim. He found his kind. Tim would even get birthday wishes from his fellow zoo sadist. Chapter 7, 2018 Zoo Sadist Leaks. 2017 ended, and Tim Wynn would continue as usual into early 2018. He was allegedly making more content in February of that year, telling Snake Thing how he was censoring his animal videos so no one could ID him committing the crimes. In March 2018, he began posting to his subreddit Innocent Victim Reports as dog slut. This was obvious for sexual pleasure of some kind, because the titles of these posts read,
Woman accused of injecting children with meth, letting men use them as sex toys. North Pole penis humping young children and a female dog. Nosy neighbor hears man r***ing his dog Snoopy in a rocking chair.
But then September 2018, something major happened. Snake Thing would begin sharing the video he and Tim made together in the fall of 2016. This got the attention of Akela and Pseudonym, who began digging into Snake Thing. Two furry zoophiles who were against zoosadism. They began digging into Snake Thing and the people around him. Tim would confront Levi in DMs. This read,
I understand there's some people that are hunting for people that make rough zoo stuff. Have you been contacted?
Been dealing with that these past few days, yeah.
Can you fill me in on what's going on, please?
Not sure where to begin. Basically, Shadow Wolf is a person that actively hunts info on and reports hard zoos. He has a few people he does this with, but he does tend to do it on his own a lot too. He caught wind of my pup videos. Not sure what else he has. I know he has my oral video, the edited one though, and has threatened to report me to the police and to out my friends. Elite Night was his focus this time, but I supposedly fixed that. Unless I out EQ. That's as TLDR as I can make it. It's more complicated than that, I think, but yeah.
Are you going to be able to keep your mouth shut?
So, been dealing with that for a few days? I have been. I ain't gonna out you, nor EQ.
Thank you very much, and I'll owe you one. Please keep me posted on anything that looks like it's serious. Trust me on this, he will not go to the police because he's not going to jeopardize himself. That's a tactic. It'll all be okay. These things happen. I cannot count how many times someone has been out gunning for our type of people, and really, nothing ever comes of it.
This is all in 2018. The zoophiles who are against zoo sadists, named Shadow Wolf, Akela, and Pseudonym, focused on Snake Thing. Due to him sharing around the video he and Tim Wynn made, they would get access to Snake Thing's group chats, and on September 16th, Pseudonym would begin leaking the group chats. The internet would be up in arms to catch those involved. This would end in people being arrested, people being investigated, people losing jobs. It was a big deal, but Tim was not included in these leaks. In fact, Tim's enemy, Douglas Spink, announced that these leaks were fake and cited Tim as an example of a true zoo sadist. Pseudonym and Shadow Wolf claimed they did not release Tim's info to begin with because they were focusing on furries in the leak, but this most likely hurt any investigation into Tim to be conducted in a timely manner to convict Tim of his crimes. Statute of limitations is a bitch in these cases. A bunch of furries would be investigated. The furry fandom was in turmoil. All the while, Tim Wynn was free to move around, unfazed. February 15th, 2019, the zoophile forum, the Beast Forums, would permanently go down. Tim Wynn was implicated in this, and this would become known thanks to a comment from another website called Zooville, which read, "I believe I solved the riddle why Beast Forum went down. The guy this vid is about, and who has been let off by a zoophile vigilante group twice, although his insufferable deeds were documented and clear. Tim Wynn, or Tim Amoroso, rang a bell in me. If I remember correctly, that was the name of one of the admins of Beast Forum. Not one of the openly operating ones, but one included in the backdoor operations, like citing and selecting the porn that would appear on their commercial sites. When I first signed up for the first time to Beast Forum, I quickly heard from another German bestialist, Nick and City, how you can have contracts with Beast Forum regarding your self-produced animal porn, granting you revenue for regularly uploading porn onto Beast Forum. I contacted admin/mod Beaker about this, playing an interested potential new uploader, questioning Beaker about the terms and conditions of such agreements. When I asked him how these hypothetical vids would be treated once they are sent to Beast Forum, he said, quote, "You upload them via a non-public uploader I will give you the link to. Then Tim will cite them and decide if we're interested in more. Tim, it may be a coincidence, but it would surely explain a lot if this said Tim actually was fleeing from the police and created the need to cut all connections and delete any evidence by shutting down the forum that contained all of these, with fear that the FBI would probably get access to the forum's logs and data, as well as the identity of Beast Forum's top dogs. It was no secret that Beast Forum produced lots of revenue for the makers. The claims that, quote, the forums will be shut down because it makes no money anymore, unquote, were bullshit, and the whole pseudonym/Kiro the Wolf thing was indeed involved with a shutdown somehow, as the time of Beast Forum going off the net would perfectly fit with the time when it really got hot for Tim Wynn. Chapter 8, 2019. Tim Wynn gets implicated in the leaks. In April 2019, Douglas Spink, also known as Fausty, was pulled behind the scenes and told of Tim's involvement. Doug would soon begin to take the Zoo Sadist leaks seriously. Doug would call out the Zoo Sadist leaks May 1st, 2019. May 6th, 2019, Doug would talk about Tim on his pro-zoophile podcast, Zooier Than Thou.
Spink and Toggle released an early episode of their podcast going over the situation in greater detail. The pair admit that the logs were real and that Kiro was actively involved in them, but that he is innocent because he was groomed.
Two things were becoming consistent. One, Kiro was being groomed by Snake Thing, likely since before he was a legal adult. Kiro did participate in the sharing and consumption of torture videos, but he'd have moments of clarity where he'd be disgusted with himself and try to walk away, but he'd be back again the next day. Being groomed into this stuff is a soul-crushing process, and Kiro's was steeped in it for years. That he doesn't seem to have ever ended up participating himself is noteworthy given that information.
As an aside, reading back through years of Kiro's logs and DMs, I can only say that we as a community failed this young man first and foremost. He was so young when he first showed up at Beast Forum.
Spink considers naming and shaming to be the most effective tactic, but his language indicates to me that he wants these people to destroy evidence so no one gets caught.
What I want is for these torturers to know that we have their number. I do want them to be scared. I want them to scrub their chat logs and put their severed puppy ears through the fucking shredders and clean the blood from their bedroom floors. I want them scared. Not because of some bluff, but because they can watch real time what's happening and do the math themselves. Not all of them are dumb, and the not dumb ones know full well that an irreversibly public copy of these leaked logs is the foundation for pulling in firepower from all over the world.
Most people ignored Douglas Spink's announcements because most people don't listen to animal rapists, but considering Tim considers Doug his arch rival, I feel it is important to mention. June 13th, 2019, Archive the Wolf would connect Kiro the Wolf to the Dogman2 username. Ark connected him to the account on the Beast forums, but this would eventually lead to his Reddit, which would lead him and connect him to Tim Wynn in the DMs. According to Archive the Wolf, Tim Wynn would disappear around July 2019, but would resurface under a new Reddit July 18th, 2019. He was caught, and now he was acting remorseful for his actions. August 19th, 2019, under the new username Up for Anything 985, Tim posted to the Sex Offender Support subreddit.
Volunteering for treatment? Hi. I have for over 40 years done behaviors that are deviant. I wish not to have the desire or compulsion anymore. At the very least, I need the tools to stop. I have been trying to find counseling for my issue. Twice I was told and referred to seek sex offender treatment. Is it possible to get into a program voluntarily? Everything I have researched say it's for a person that have been convicted of an offense.
Tim would receive support in the comments, but it seems he never went through with any treatment. It's like he dips his toes in. It's like he reaches out and pretends that's enough. Tim Wynn was now being mentioned in the Zoo Sadist coverage. Meanwhile, he updated that he was getting sex addiction help in the subreddit r/addiction. This was on September 20th, 2019.
I am a sex addict, and I have acted out in very bad ways. I am in a sex addict group and have some 3 weeks sobriety. I am having problems about sharing my thoughts and my past with the fellowship. I feel that I will be rejected when they find out what I am. I don't deal well with rejection and most likely will run if I sense it. I can't go back to the way I have been my entire life. I have hurt so many animals from acting out that there is no way the members or God will accept me. I will end up, as always, alone sitting in a corner being ignored. It hurts so much. I will just end it if that comes to pass. This is my last chance to fit in.
One reply read,
Hi, I'm a sex addict as well. You're having the same fears that many of us had. My experience has in the meetings is that the members are very supportive and understanding. That said, I believe certain details should be only shared with a sponsor. When I attend a meeting, I don't go into detail with the group because it may trigger someone else. Do you have a sponsor?
Yes, I do. He seems to not wanting to help me dig into my junk. I am not sure I chose the correct one.
Tim continued to attempt to seem like he was trying to better himself. Then, in November of 2019, he emailed the co-host of the Zooier Than Thou podcast, Toggle the Rat. He told Toggle he was now under investigation.
While disappearing is common for people caught committing crimes, Tim waiting 3 months after Doug outed him to crawl back into hiding made little sense. It would be another 4 months before Tim showed up again, sending the following email to Doug's Zooier Than Thou podcast co-host, Toggle Rat.
Please let Doug know that I am under a LEO investigation. I hope he can now rest better for his remaining days. I am in a recovery program and have been for some time. I know that means nothing because of the damage and destruction I have done in my life. Not sure how I will go out, but it is soon. Regards, DD.
Given Tim's history of lying to weasel out of facing consequences, it would be foolish to take his words at face value. Doug offered no confirmation of an open law enforcement investigation. and Tim offered no proof he had been in any kind of therapy program.
At this time, Douglas Spink was dying from butt cancer, but like every attempt Tim would make to recover from his mental illness, this did not last long. On December 17, 2019, he responded to an image of a dog in S&M gear. Sexy. Meanwhile, in this same month, Snake Thing would be arrested. He was arrested prior, when the leaks first came out in 2018, but was quickly released while law enforcement pursued more serious crimes. He was re-arrested in December of 2019. He was arrested due to what was contained in the chat, and the chat was leaked because of the video Snake and Tim made together. Chapter 9. Douglas Spink dies, and Tim reverts. January 23, 2020. Doug Spink would pass from his butt cancer. Tim Wynn would follow a fellow zoo sadist on Ink Bunny shortly after. This was to taunt that he was free to roam after Doug passed. His likes on his Flickr account changed to much more disturbing likes as soon as Douglas Spink passed. The attempt at getting better was thrown out the window. Tim is too stupid, his dick too small, and he is too weak to get better. It's easier to give into addiction, and Tim is too much of a failure to do anything other than taking the easy route. March 9, 2020, Snake Thing was sentenced to 25 years for his crimes, but Tim Wynn got off scot-free, just like he did his entire life. Something good happened, however, and September 18, 2020, new eyes got on Tim Amoroso. Archive the Wolf, someone I've mentioned many times in this video, made a video specifically on Tim Wynn, titled, Tim Wynn, the Ouroboros of Abuse. This video would reach 150,000 views, and many of Archive's research would be used to get more information on Tim Wynn. Tim Wynn was now being mentioned in public. November 26, 2020, a Redditor named Noah Get the Boat posted about Tim Wynn. They wrote, a subreddit named Innocent Victim Reports. Although the subreddit, Innocent Victim Reports, appears normal at first glance, it was actually created by a notorious zoophile and animal abuser, Tim Amoroso, also known as Tim Wynn, from the Kiro the Wolf Zoo Sadist leaks. If it seems unreasonable to use IRL names, just know that this person has admitted to ripping animals to death and then eating their corpses. No, I'm not trolling or being facetious. I'm being 100% serious. The Innocent Victim Reports About section reads, this is for those that like to follow the news articles of sexual abuse of innocent prey. This is not only limited to preteens, babies, hearted, and animals, but may include what you find innocent. The subreddit Innocent Victim Reports was originally created by Amoroso under the username MatePups. After abandoning his original account, he then created a new account using the name DogSlot, continuing to post to the same sub. Under the same username, DogSlot, Tim created an alternative subreddit named sexy_dead_dogs and asked for users to share animal abuse content via email. He's also more recently started posting as Up for Anything 985. People on Reddit were now being informed of his existence and calling for action to stop him. They also wanted to contact his wife, Lizette. January 2nd, 2021, Kiwi Farms user H&R Block would post all of Tim Wynn's info to the thread that contained info on the zoophiles in general. This was in something called the Zoo Sadist Mega Thread. Kiwi Farms is a controversial site, but it is useful for finding information on people like Tim. The Animal Control subforum, focusing on animal abusers, is a great source for information. 3 days later, after this post in the Mega Thread, January 5th, 2021, H&R Block posted a dedicated thread to Timothy George Amoroso, titled Timothy George Amoroso /Tim Wynn /dogdude/rainsters/matepups/up for anything 985. 59-year-old sexual sadist who has tortured, raped, murdered, and defiled countless animals over the last 30 years. Also produces zoophile and zoo sadist porn of said subject matter. This would become a central hub for Kiwi farmers to dig through the leaks and information Archive the Wolf was providing. This man should not be allowed to exist in normal society. I'm going to read through highlights of the opening post on Kiwi Farms. I've gone over a timeline of Tim's life as best as possible, but some chats which highlight his extreme level of depravity have not been discussed yet in the video, and were included in this opening post, and I will be going over those now. From this thread, we learned every one of Tim's past aliases. Tim Wynn, Winlock Tim, Winlock Space Tim, Rainster, Rainsters, Matepups, Foxkidder, Dogslot, Dog Dude, Muttling, Mate Mutts, Up for Anything 985, Luke Winlock. The opening post continued on to describe Tim in precise detail. Reading, Timothy George Amoroso has been an active sexual sadist, zoophile, and allegedly non-offending pedophile for over 30 years, currently operating out of the town of Winlock in Washington state. He has produced, filmed, edited, and distributed hours upon hours of bestiality and zoo sadist videos and photographs. For over 30 years, he has personally tortured, raped, killed, and defiled countless animals. This post largely consists of excerpts from logs of conversations leaked in 2019. The conversations took place on the Beastie Beast Beasts Telegram group. Tim Win is the handle that Tim Amoroso used when communicating in these groups. Tim repeatedly declares that his ideal victims are living 8 to 12-month-old puppies. Now you're probably thinking, but H&R Block, how on earth can a grown man physically rape something so small as a puppy? Over time, Tim developed his very own special technique for accomplishing just that, but it's a bit complicated. Let's allow Tim to explain. And then the poster went on to go over Tim's methods of rape.
My favorite for most young animals is to make a small hole in the lower belly and fuck the hole. You make it shallow enough and precise enough that you don't cut into the entrails.
Ah.
I use a scalpel for this work.
So very sharp knife and just cut the skin.
The skin, and there is muscle under the skin that you need to penetrate with the scalpel. Make the hole small so it's a tight fit for the penis.
Right? So you get the membrane towards the intestines and the skin. Sounds nice and tight.
Correct if you do it with a young enough and small enough animal. It's kind of like a fleshlight.
Neat.
The post continued to show other chats going over the horrendous ways Tim gets off in his gory animal rape, and how he prepares his victims.
I've given a lot of dog/puppy sedatives with the desired outcome.
Other chats revealed at this time include Tim talking about having sex with rotting animal corpses. And, actually, I'm not going to read these out loud. This is disgusting and I feel sick. I don't even think this should be, yeah. Alright, we're moving on, but yeah, I feel sick. He f***ed dead bodies. Just lots of very wholesome activities were uncovered in these leaks. The true hunt for all details about Tim had begun, kicked into motion by Archive the Wolf's video and H&R Block's thread. People on Kiwi Farms soon began to dig, looking through his wife's, Lizette's, Twitter. They also began going through the content he made and shared in the chats. They also found that Tim worked as a print shop manager, and the Kiwi Farmers soon found his LinkedIn. And then they found his Flickr. Tim was open about being into photography in the leaks. And soon the Kiwi Farmers found that Tim was not only into animals, he was sexually attracted to children.
I have a ton of stuff, just don't know what is cool to post.
Everything is open to posting here, as you're well aware.
Post it all, heart.
Well, besides CP, but you get what I mean.
Yes, besides that.
LOL until I run across something that someone made that is actually here.
What?
But I like cheese pizza.
Ah, I know. I do too. But that can be in PM.
One Kiwi farmer wrote, "Who would have guessed that a deranged, sexually sadistic individual like Tim would have an interest in child pornography? Sarcasm aside, anyone who has taken a look at the photos Tim has saved as his favorites on Flickr certainly would have guessed. Here is just a selection of pages of his favorites. You'll get the idea." The Kiwi farmers then began to try to get a face dox of Tim. They had a name and location, but they needed more. They went through his various photo accounts, and on the same day as the thread being posted, Tim's face was found. Then his old stories, the ones from the 90s. They were found January 7th, 2021. They were digging into everything. More leaks were dumped onto the farms January 12th. H&R Block writing, "What follows are the screenshots from the leaked private chat logs between Levi Dane Simmons, Snake Thing, and Timothy George Amoroso, Timwin. Huge thanks to Archive the Wolf for passing these logs along. There are no photos, as the original dump did not contain any. The only things I have censored are the .onion addresses, which appear to lead to a pedophile/CP trading chat room and an extreme animal abuse content trading site. Tim appears to be a member of both sites and is responsible for sharing the links to said sites with Levi. A very large portion of the chat log I have omitted is dedicated to Tim discussing, editing, and preparing a particular video for distribution. The video is what Levi and Tim shot together at the Motel 6 in Coos Bay, Oregon. The video consists of Levi brutally raping a 12-month-old bully mix, which he adopted via Craigslist. Tim was responsible for filming the assault. After Levi finished, Tim took the puppy into the bathroom, closed the door and continued to torture and sexually assault the puppy. Afterwards, Tim assigned Levi the task of killing the puppy. When Levi made it clear that he wouldn't be able to handle seeing the puppy die, Tim decided to let the puppy live. They then dumped the puppy on the outskirts of town. The fate of the dog is unknown. We have reviewed a good portion of the leaks let out in this DM dump previously in the video, but there were some discussions not mentioned previously. Of course, nothing good was spoken of in these DMs. January 12, 2021, a Kiwi farmer posted an image of Tim's penis. It was small, and everyone laughed. January 14, 2021, someone on Kiwi Farms got access to Kiro's Reddit account. This is where we got his DMs with Timwin, but the eyes began to focus on Tim's wife, Lizette. People soon found her social media and went through her posts to get information on her vile husband. While people were looking into his wife, other users were going through his known aliases. A user found him on some forum for Linux users, asking for help under the name Rainster. The Rainster user then posted information on his computer where you could see file location names involving Tim, Amo, and Mandy, his beloved dog wife. January 20th, his wife's Instagram was uncovered. The farmers were able to match previous dogs with her posts. H&R Block was able to get into Tim's mate pup's Imgur account. They leaked this January 23rd, 2021. Writing, Mate Pup's Imgur account leak. King Frampt managed to gain access to Tim's Mate Pup's Imgur account and sent me screenshots of its contents, as well as the raw image files. I will not be posting the individual images here, although 2 of the images have been previously posted and can be found here and here. I will be posting the screen captures of the photo overview/account info and detailed text descriptions of each image. If you need access to the images themselves for some reason, DM me. Photo overview and account info. Tim's Imgur posts are all set to hidden and are divided into 2 albums, Dog Pussy and Rotten Head. There are 3 additional images not included in either album. The first album, Dog Pussy, was full of various shots of dogs' private parts, as the title suggests. These photos also had a man spreading these parts, his hands visible on camera. It is believed that the man in the photos is Tim, as you can see parts of a house in these photos, and they match previous works of Tim. The second album, according to the Kiwi Farms poster, involves a decapitated Rottweiler that Tim fucks the head up with his micro-penis. I did not look at these albums, and I trust the Kiwi Farmer because I'm not looking at this stuff. There was a third album of unsorted photos, which include photos of various dog abuse and exploitation, and a dead goat. Lovely. January 24th, 2021, H&R Block continued with the audit of Timwin's life and posted what his voice sounds like.
Because he really gets out there, he gets big. You give Rigel a run for his money.
And then people around Timwin began to be doxxed in the thread as well. A man named Gar was doxxed, one that was involved in some other zoophile bust. Headache Release, the person dumping information on this Gar fellow, pointed out that Gar had spread misinformation about Tim to those investigating the leaks in order to protect him. You know, the leaks from 2018. It is unknown their motivations. Perhaps Tim had information that could be used against them back. January 30th, users began to dig into Facebooks of people related to Tim and began to follow his wife's Twitter more closely. But something happened. Because of how many more eyes were on Tim now that he had a thread and a video on him, Tim's wife went private on social media. It is unknown if an onlooker contacted her and she got scared and privated. It isn't known if Tim told her to and fed her some lies about strangers defaming him on the internet, but the Amorosos knew they were being watched. H&R Block on Kiwi Farms hypothesized what happened. I see this either 1. Someone contacted her with this info and she got spooked and locked everything down, or 2. The police executed a search warrant and seized all of Tim's hardware, the best outcome, and she's locking down because that shook her up and she may or may not now know about this thread, or 3. Tim killed himself, least desirable outcome. If nothing publicly apparent relating to possibility number 2 or number 3 pops up in the next week, it's likely that possibility number 1 has taken place. I've been lying low for the past couple weeks and not updating this thread with more Tim info, primarily because I've been in contact with authorities and have been waiting to see if anything comes of that. If nothing happens, I'll post the few remaining bits of info I currently have and finish a second connecting the dots post, linking together some of Tim's newly discovered accounts. It's also now tax season in America, and I've been preoccupied with bringing the absolute best value in tax services to our customers. Find out how things are better with Block and ensure your maximum refund at www.hnrblock.com. Also, an unlikely possibility number 4 is that Tim has fed her some sort of lie or story which sold her on the importance of internet privacy and convinced her to lock down everything, and she's still totally ignorant of all of this. February 16th, the last of the 3 publicly leaked Telegram logs from the Sinbin group involving Tim was posted by H&R Block. Tim wasn't as active in this group as the other group titled Beastie Beast Beasts, but it was posted in case details could lead to getting Tim to receive justice. Also, one conversation in these leaks showed Tim feeling remorse for his actions. He goes in waves and relapses. It's just disgusting the sobriety from his addiction is so short. He is a weak, weak man. These DMs also had Tim admitting to raping his own dogs. In his words, the dogs don't love the cock, they tolerate it. Fucking sicko. The posters also used this chat to connect past Timwin chats. They went over every time Tim hinted towards being sexually into children. It was a lot of times. Mr. Block concluded, considering all the above, I think it's safe to say Tim is just as attracted to the idea of raping/harming children as he is to actually raping the various animals he's gotten his hands on over the last 30 years. February 18th, 2021, Tim's E621 account was found. His favorites, as you can assume, were filled with gore, rape, and thinly veiled pedophilia. People were getting angry on the farms hunting for this monster. The calls to action got so extreme, the owner of Kiwi Farms, Null, replied, "Mass emailing the FBI is not going to do anything more productive than sending a single notice. If you feel compelled to contact authorities, just do so. You do not need to organize a mob on the forum." March 4th, 2021, Tim's live journal Mutemut was found. This live journal, which we discussed important posts from earlier in the timeline, was found because the email, rainster@gmail.com, was exposed during a past data breach that happened to LiveJournal. March 12th, 2021, Kiro attempted to return to YouTube to attempt to reclaim his destroyed career. Many YouTubers, including myself, would reply to this video. Kiro would copyright claim many of the responses in an attempt to control the narrative, though he didn't try mine because he is a pussy. In honor of Kiro putting out his side, on March 18th, H&R Block leaked all the DMs between Kiro and Timwin. The leak into the public helped bury any attempts Kiro had at ever coming back. Well, buried it deeper. He was already like 30 feet deep, and this added another 50. More Timwin videos were found September 14th, 2021. We discussed these previously, YLYM and Old Number 7. Previously, earlier in the year, YouTuber Plagued Moth had reacted to the Old Number 7 videos on his channel. Plagued Moth is a gore YouTuber who watches deep web videos and reacts to them. I've heard he's irresponsible with this and there's a lot of drama around him. This is not an endorsement of what he does. I did not watch any of Tim's torture pornography, and hearing a reaction to it while being described is about as much as I can handle.
I don't even know what really gets me now. Not I'm really sitting here and absorbing this as I commentate on it for you, because I just found the screens. I got the screens, and then I pretty much skimmed them and left them at that. I knew the story, I knew what it was, but I like to go at it live and real, basically, if that makes sense. And for me, it's hitting me now, and it's just like, I was thinking about this the other day, for what a human body can endure. This dog is doing it too, and dogs are just, it's like kids. It doesn't understand. It was even proven that. It's just like thinking it's going to go play. That's what the first whole clip was. Now it's this. And then just beat the dog to death and hang it. Oh my god, that was horrible. The total runtime is 13 minutes and 7 seconds. Okay. Wow. That was unreal.
And despite Plagued Moth being a veteran to gore, even he couldn't handle the Old Number 7 video.
You all been watching me long enough, at least most of you, to know that I've been, oh man, it's bad. It's bad. It's like my catchphrase. Made a joke out of it for a long time. And as I've developed even more of a, I don't want to say a tolerance, but like, I've grown even more desensitized to certain things. Every once in a while, something will stick out to me, and this is one of those things. And not just because it involves an animal, because it is literally considered one of the most depraved and horrific videos involving animal abuse to actually exist that's talked about.
But on October 4th, 2021, Plagued Moth also responded to the YLYM video, also known as Dark Forest. In this video, Moth lists off several infamous zoo sadist videos.
This was an internet gathering of the most sadistic animal abusers, known for making the most infamous titled animal snuff to be leaked onto the clear web. This includes videos like Cokie, Gushy, Easy to Open, and Old Number 7. That other video, Easy to Open, sees a man take a knife to literally cut open a puppy and have sex with the wound until it dies.
Interesting, Tim was involved in all of these classics. Plagued Moth then proceeded to describe the contents of the videos. And I was going to play Plagued Moth's description of YLYM, but much like before when I was describing the videos, I don't think this is something that needs to be on YouTube, and I don't think you want to hear what happened. Just know a dog was tortured to death for someone's sexual pleasure. When trying to find information about this video, I found someone on Reddit who claimed that Tim was the camera guy while Douglas Spink raped the dog. This is unproven though, and it is Reddit, so. Tim Wynn was able to glide around unnoticed outside the zoo communities for so long. Tim in the present. Tim must have felt safe again. That's a shame that the increased coverage of his actions did not lead to any serious changes. But you know, you can't teach an old dog rapist new tricks. A year of Kiwi Farms trying to find his information resulted in not much in terms of justice. There was not enough negative to keep Tim away from his canvas, the internet. We're going to rapid fire out some of the next actions he committed online. They are more spread apart, which could either be Tim growing tired of his perversions in his old age, or he's just found different haunts to post to. November 30th, 2021, Kiwi farmer King Frampt pointed out Tim was active on Flickr again, but then he was quiet again. No interesting activities for the next year. November 2022, r/Lewis County, a subreddit dedicated to Lewis County, Washington, posted a warning about Tim living nearby. People on Reddit were obviously horrified reading of the content he created. January 2023, it was noticed he changed the name on his Flickr. January 31st, 2023, someone posted to Reddit, "Ask Me Anything," claiming to be a family member of Tim Wynn. This alleged family member went under the username throwaway account 834587. They wrote, "I'm a family member of Tim Wynn, one of the most hated people on the internet. Hello, in case you probably can't tell by the fact that this is a throwaway account, I would prefer to stay anonymous with this. But I am part of the family that Timothy George Amoroso comes from. If you would like to know information on what this monster did, I would recommend that you have a very strong stomach. I do not mind answering any questions you may have." Every comment was begging the user to get him arrested or killed. But Tim decided he was ready to come back. Because a day after this, February 1st, Tim Wynn began liking photos on his Flickr to toy with the farmers. The favorites spelled out, "Kiwi Farms Suck." February 3rd, 2023, H&R Block let onlookers know that the FBI already had a case file on Tim. The file was started before the farms began looking into him. This is shown in an email with the Winlock Police Department, which read, "I don't have any other information at this point, as the feds don't always share all of their secrets, winky face. That being said, I was told they had a case on this guy. I know from personal experience that this can take months at a time, however. Thank you again for bringing it to our attention." This inspired our favorite auditor, H&R Block, to start trying to find Tim Wynn's place of work more thoroughly. He worked in graphics, at a print shop. I've mentioned this before. After going through past posts and chat of Tim Wynn's, H&R Block closed in, finding where the print shop was, finally coming to a conclusion on how exactly to find Tim's workplace. After going through all the data, Mr. Block wrote, "One unexpected hint came from Tim's ill-fated foray into Stormfront, detailed in the OP. Apparently his, quote, place of employment is all white, smiley face, unquote. This was more than enough information to get us started. We called the Lewis County Elections Office in Chehalis, Washington, assuming that the ballots that Tim was printing were for elections local to his residence in Winlock. They provided a lead that ultimately proved fruitless. At this point, we assumed that Tim wasn't working for a print shop located in the Lewis County limits. We also assumed his commute is unlikely to be more than an hour from his home. With this in mind, we created a short list of possible workplaces and began digging in via Google and social media. Eventually, I found myself standing in the middle of the virtual street outside Graphics in Longview, Washington. I am going to censor the info on the store. I'll get to why in a moment, but crazy enough, Due to an old post of Tim's from many years ago, users knew what kind of car Tim owned. They went on Google Maps to the print shop they thought Tim worked at, scanned around, and found the same car in the parking lot. They then went to the website for the shop, and there was Tim. Right there, literally front and center. The man who has spent decades raping puppies to death and sexualizing children looks so strangely innocent. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. H&R Block concluded. Literally front and center among what graphics offers on their website are 2 low-res photos of someone who looks a hell of a lot like our guy. This person is also featured in their Facebook banner. From this point, an H&R Block associate simply placed a call and spoke with someone at Graphics, who confirmed that Tim Amoroso did indeed work there. Unfortunately, he was on break at this time. Friends of H&R Block have been so kind as to place a few more calls over the last couple years following the initial confirmation, and we can confirm that as of February 2023, Tim is an employee of Graphics. And that's that. Tracking Tim's place of work down would have been much more challenging had Tim not worked in an increasingly small, niche sector. Next time you hear about the death of print media, give a small thanks on behalf of all the children and animals Tim Amoroso has victimized. Big thanks to everyone behind the scenes who helped make this threat a reality. Happy 10th birthday, Kiwi Farms! During this time, there was a major campaign against Kiwi Farms from trans rights activist streamer Keffels. Keffels began the hashtag #DropKiwiFarms because the website harbored information that made her look bad. It's a long, convoluted story. The YouTuber Mudahar made a video on it, so go watch that. But during this time, Kiwi Farms was enemy number 1, and people were complaining on Twitter that the farmers doxed this man's workplace. It's fucking nasty. I don't care if a dog rapist gets doxed. February 17th, it was confirmed that Tim was let go from his job. A Kiwi farmer called them up and requested to speak to him and was told he no longer worked there. This is why I will not show his former place of work. A message I have not discussed previously was posted the next day. This was most likely from the BBB group, meaning it was sent most likely between 2016 and 2018, where Tim writes,
I fully agree with you. I by myself have never or hurt an adult dog. I have many, but it was more about just them, not doing sadistic stuff to me like with pups. Pups are much more sexy to me also. I so love their smooth bellies and so much about them.
I want to include this because A, it shows how obsessive Tim is with a certain part of dogs, the belly, which he often speaks of disemboweling and cutting open. B, he has previously described his tastes as being a zoo pedo. This lines up with that, and will help emphasize how sick he is to you viewers. And C, it's to show how weird these people are. In other chats, Tim says he only fucks puppies because he feels bad for adults who have experienced life and felt love. At least the puppies could be snuffed, aka killed quickly, according to him. Their morals are twisted. February 21st, Overlord of Kiwi Farms made a statement on Timwin.
Animal Comptroller for 1776 says, I think it's controller. I don't think you actually pronounce it comptroller. Animal Controller for 1776 says, Timothy George Amoroso has an incredibly small penis, a baby dick if you will, an absolutely tiny worm, a wee little whittly, a pathetic pecker, a trivial tallywhacker, a petty prick, a teeny tool. What a microscopic manhood. Everyone knows that. Timothy Amoroso completely roasted.
Very true, Josh. March 15th, 2023, Timwin's Google reviews were discovered. He reviewed various pet supply shops and veterinarians in the Washington area under his username Rainster. This man has the worst OPSEC, and considering he walks free while being a dog-raping pedophile, says more about the American justice system than Tim's innocence. But worst yet, Tim left a review for the Motel 6 that he and Snake Thing raped a puppy in all the way back in 2016.
A good cheap place to bed down for a night. My only gripe was that the toilet seat was far from clean.
Things were slow after this. Mondogore, a subreddit, began to talk about Timwin in August. A few YouTubers would also shine a light on Tim over the year of 2023. Lanza would publish a video in August. After this, just every zoophile remotely related to Tim began to be doxxed on Kiwi Farms. October 3rd, 2023, it was discovered after months of nothing, Tim was still alive and active. Kiwi Farms user AsDadu revealed Tim had uploaded a photo of a toy car to his Flickr August 27, 2023. November 17th of the year, Kiwi farmer Polentic was able to get into Tim's Reddit accounts, Mate Pups, and Dog Slot. The content of the DMs were as expected, but it seemed like Tim mostly DM'd with people to give them access to the Animal Nightmares Reddit. Reddit seemed to be the point of content to get access to more depraved stuff. The DMs show that Tim isn't alone. There are more out there past the BBB and the Sinbin chats. People were openly DMing Tim and discussing how great it is to rape animals. A list of users DMing Tim were released, and they were soon doxed as well. Don't feel bad for these people. They are all zoophiles. December 24th, 2023, Plentic got into Tim's Winlock Tim Imgur account and had this to write. I'm not kidding when I say this. Timothy Amoroso will rape and murder children. I hacked his Imgur, Winlock Tim. This photo is of a child's head, completely exposed with brains hanging out, and their tongue is licking the brains. I clicked the gallery, babies mutilated, rotted toddler corpses, naked children being choked, and there were so many. And nothing really happened after this. Tim was uploading images of dogs up until pretty much present. More accounts associated with Tim over the years got exposed, but there was really never any justice. It just feels like a fart in the wind. Some gore community found him at the end of 2023 and started trying to assist in getting his info in order to get him arrested. So at this time now, Reddit, YouTube, Kiwi Farms, and a site called Goreflix are all out trying to find a way to stop this man. And maybe Tim noticed more people recognized him. In fact, 2 videos were made about Tim's crime on Spanish YouTube in 2023 as well. I'm saying this because at the very end of 2023, December 27th to be exact, Tim dug up his Rainsters username and got back on Reddit. There, he posted to r/askmeanything. The first question to him read,
I am a recovering sex addict who's abused and ended the lives of many animals. Ask me anything.
What's the connection between you killing animals and being a sex addict?
Well, the animals are what fuel my sex addiction. Them critters turn me on in a way that most people wouldn't understand.
The second and only other question read,
How did you end the lives of the animals? Could you lead me from the compulsion? Like, was it their struggling erotic? Or the fact that you had control? DM me. I would love to have a full-fledged interview with you, your name and information hidden. I want your interview for others to listen and be able to assist or understand people like you.
Usually I'd leave them so injured from the torture and rape that they'd die on their own, but I also enjoyed snuffing them. Hearing their whimpers while I thrust into their stomach is one of my biggest turn-ons. Control also felt pretty good to me as well. I love having complete control over them small little critters as I carve into them and get to work.
Have you thought that you might move on from animals for a bigger thrill? You don't have to answer that.
Well, I've thought about it and have already acted on that, but I don't want to say anything beyond that. I have to get ready for today. I will answer any other questions you have later on.
What made you want to get therapy? Was it a sense of empathy or court-ordered?
Tim discussed wanting help and therapy in this post, but the next day he replied to the thread I mentioned before about someone claiming to be his family member, writing,
Really?
The same day as that, he replied to an AMA thread about being a child prostitute.
That's hot.
The last post he would make on this account before being banned was in reply to someone saying they were into zoo sadism and wanted contacts on Telegram. Tim replied,
Sweet, I sent you a message.
Tim had one whole day online acting remorseful for his actions before returning to sexualizing children and murder. He is irredeemable, and he will probably die without ever receiving justice. The world would be a better off place without him, and our current legal system has failed our most vulnerable, our beloved four-legged companions and our children. He is elderly now, and hopefully too old to do as much damage as he was able to in his prime. Closing. Animal rights around the world are lacking. I believe Tim has gotten away with his crimes to this day because most of the content he made was created in the late 90s, early 2000s, and by the time anyone could trace the atrocities to his name and face, the statute of limitations ran out. If you have any information on Tim's whereabouts or anything that could help an investigation go forward with punishment towards him, please follow the contact information in the description below. You may be wondering why I decided to make this video. There are multiple other channels who have made videos on this man, but I felt like it was a natural spiritual successor to my Zoo Sadist Don't Mess with Dog series. This man was only briefly touched upon, and I can't lie to you, talking about disturbing things gets views. It seemed like an interesting topic to discuss, and because of the interest in the macabre online, I decided to use it to raise money and bring awareness. Again, all donations will go to ASPCA, and I don't know how to set up giving in terms of the program on YouTube in terms of ad revenue as I write this closing, but I will pin a comment on how much of the ad revenue will go to the ASPCA if by some miracle of God this video gets monetized. I plan to, if I can, have 50 to 100% of the ad revenue go to ASPCA. I only want some money, like, not gonna lie, to pay for like therapy or, I have a lot of animals and I like to buy them toys. And yeah, I have an outside job outside of YouTube, and I make content because I enjoy having a hobby of going down rabbit holes and sharing that with my audience. I'm going to close out the rest of the video with rolling credits of my patrons. If you want to support this channel, consider becoming a patron. I only charge per upload, so it's maybe 4 times a year max. And because I plan to focus on animals, it will help me be able to make some cash on the side to expand my own family of animals. I currently have 7, 5 cats and 2 dogs, and a cat colony I care for. If you can't, a like and a comment on the video is amazing as well. I'm not here to be a grifter. I genuinely enjoy making content, and making some money is a nice bonus but not a necessity for me. I want to suggest a charity as well on my way out. Cuddly.com. Not sponsored. They're a verified charity with a high rating on the Better Business Bureau, and it's a website that is basically like GoFundMe for various animal-related charities. I myself donate to them often, and I recommend making a monthly subscription for them to allocate the funds to various hurt and abused animals throughout the world. I also am linking the Washington Federation of Animal Care and Control Agencies. A lot of animal abuse I've discussed happens in Washington state because animal cruelty laws have been known to be historically lax in this state. This charity is dedicated to the humane treatment of animals in Washington state through legislation, training, programs, and support services. But besides this, the best way to help animals is to go to your local shelter today and adopt an animal and treat that animal like the prince or princess they are. Now to close out. I know we did not get the happy ending with Tim. He is still alive and still possibly hurting animals. However, I want to end this video with descriptions of what Tim has to look forward to upon passing. As mentioned in the video, Tim believes in an afterlife, and I just wanted to read some quotes from Revelations to remind Tim what he has to look forward to. Revelations 21:8. But as for the cowardly, the faithless, the detestable, as for the murderers, the sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars, their portion will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death. Revelations 14:11. And the smoke of their torment goes up forever and ever, and they have no rest, day or night, these worshippers of the beast and its image, and whoever receives the mark of its name. Now, some other loose ends I want to tie up before leaving. Lizette, Tim's wife, I am speaking to you here. You obviously love animals. I've seen you post about animal activism. Do something. You can avoid eternal damnation. You can speak out. You and anyone else in Tim's life can help stop this. You must have something. Come on, girl. If anyone has information to help Tim receive justice on this, or just help dig the nail into the coffin deeper on this man, feel free to contact me, especially, and make sure you do this first, if you've previously sought out law enforcement and no justice was served. But that's the end. I'm sorry it wasn't happy. Suffer lightly, and goodbye.